The loudest person in the room is almost always the one carrying the most debt. Look at this man, new car, designer watch, custom suit. Your brain just made a decision about him, instantly, automatically, without your permission. You decided he's rich. Here's the uncomfortable truth, he's not. If you walked past a multimillionaire on the street today, you probably wouldn't even turn your head. They don't wear neon branding. They don't drive roaring exotic supercars down city blocks. They have realized a fundamental truth about human psychology. Attention is an expensive liability. When your net worth crosses a certain threshold, the desire to impress strangers completely evaporates. You transition away from looking rich. You focus entirely on becoming wealthy. True wealth does not shout. It whispers. In fact, it often stays completely silent. So here's the question this video is going to answer. If the signals we're trained to read, the car, the watch, the suit, are wrong. And more importantly, once you learn to see it, you'll never be fooled by appearances again. Here's why this isn't just an interesting observation. It's a trap that costs people decades of their financial life. Humans are pattern-matching machines. For most of history, visible signals, cattle, land, gold, jewelry, were accurate proxies for wealth because faking them was expensive and difficult. But something changed in the last 70 years. Credit became easy, leasing became normal. Buy now, pay later apps put luxury inside anyone's reach, for a price they don't feel until later. The signals got cheap to fake, but your brain never got the memo. So we keep using outdated wealth detection software in a world engineered to trick it. And here's the cost. If you're chasing the appearance of wealth instead of the substance of it, you're not just fooling other people, you're fooling yourself. That's why learning to spot the silent signs, the quiet, unglamorous, almost boring signs, isn't just trivia. Truly wealthy people rarely act with urgency around money. Watch how someone behaves when a flash sale appears, or when a stock is about to explode, or when an investment opportunity is closing in 24 hours. People who are financially secure have trained themselves to feel suspicious of urgency, not excited by it. Scarcity marketing is designed to hijack a very old part of the brain, the part that once had to decide in half a second whether to grab food before a rival tribe did. Real wealth builders have decoupled that ancient alarm system from modern-day marketing. They ask one quiet question before any purchase or investment. What happens if I wait 48 hours? Almost always, nothing happens, except their bank account stays intact. This single habit, practiced consistently, can be the difference between 6 figures saved and 6 figures spent over a decade. But calm decision-making is just the surface. There's a deeper psychological trait underneath it, one that shows up in how wealthy people talk, or rather, how little they talk about money at all. Here's a pattern researchers have noticed across financial psychology studies for years. The loudest people about money are rarely the wealthiest. Why? Because talking about spending serves a social function. It's a subtle status broadcast, but talking about saving or investing doesn't give the same social payoff. It's boring at parties. Nobody applauds a Roth IRA contribution. So the person quietly maximizing their 401k match or automating transfers into an index fund has nothing exciting to report at dinner. Meanwhile, the person who just financed a new watch has a built-in conversation starter. This creates a strange illusion. The people who talk about money the most often understand it the least, because their relationship with money is emotional and social, not strategic. The quiet ones, they're not being secretive, they're just not performing, and this leads to something even more surprising. Because if wealthy people aren't performing wealth, what are they actually spending their money on? Every purchase in life falls into one of two categories: things that lose value the moment you buy them, and things that grow in value or grow your ability to earn over time. A new car loses roughly 20% of its value the second you drive it off the lot. A course that teaches you a high-income skill, a rental property in a growing area, or shares in a diversified fund. These move in the opposite direction. Here's the psychological twist. Depreciating purchases give you an immediate dopamine hit. The new car smell, the unboxing moment, the compliments. Compounding purchases give you nothing exciting today. The reward is invisible for years. This is why compounding is so hard for the human brain. We are wired for immediate feedback, and compounding offers none, until suddenly it offers everything. The people who look rich are optimizing for the dopamine hit. The people who are rich are optimizing for the invisible curve. But there's a deeper reason some people can delay that gratification and others can't. And it has almost nothing to do with income. Here's a fact that surprises most people. Income level is a weak predictor of wealth. Behavior is a strong one. Psychologists who study financial behavior point to something called identity-based spending. If someone sees themselves as a person who deserves nice things now, their spending will always rise to match or exceed their income, no matter how much they earn. But if someone's internal identity is a person who builds security, their spending stays disciplined even as their income grows. Because their self-image, not their salary, sets the ceiling. This is why lottery winners often go broke and why some modest-income teachers and mechanics retire as quiet millionaires. Their identity determined their trajectory, not their paycheck. So the real question isn't how much do you earn? It's who do you believe you are, financially? And that belief was probably installed a lot earlier than you think, which brings us to one of the most overlooked signs of all. Financial psychologists call it your money script, a set of beliefs about money absorbed before the age of 7, mostly through watching, not being taught. If a child grows up watching adults treat money calmly, as a tool, not a source of drama, they tend to carry that same calm into adulthood. If they grow up watching money treated as either taboo or a source of constant anxiety, that pattern often repeats, even in high-income adults. This explains something strange. Why two siblings, raised in the same house with the same resources, can end up with completely different financial lives. Their money scripts diverged based on subtle individual experiences, a comment overheard, a specific memory, a moment of shame or safety around spending. The good news: money scripts aren't fixed. They can be rewritten in adulthood, but only once you can see the script you're running. Most people never do. They just keep repeating patterns they can't name. And that blindness leads directly into the next silent sign. One that shows up not in what people buy, but in what they refuse to. Watch closely and you'll notice this. Financially secure people say no to spending without justifying it extensively. People who are financially insecure, even at high incomes, often feel a need to over-explain a no because they're managing how others perceive them, not just their bank account. I would, but I'm saving for a house, or I'm on a specific budget this month. These are justifications aimed at protecting image, not finances. The psychological root here is simple. People with real financial security have decoupled their self-worth from other people's spending expectations. Saying no doesn't threaten their identity, so it doesn't require defense. This one trait alone, the ability to decline spending without guilt or explanation, quietly protects tens of thousands of dollars over a lifetime simply by removing social pressure as a financial decision-maker. But there's one final sign, maybe the most counterintuitive of all, and it explains why some of the wealthiest people you'll ever meet seem almost boringly unbothered by money altogether. Here's the final and maybe most important signal. Truly wealthy-minded people talk about money the way a carpenter talks about a hammer. Money to them is a tool for building specific outcomes: freedom, time, options. It is not a scoreboard for measuring their worth against other people. This mental shift changes everything downstream. Someone using money as a tool asks, does this purchase build the life I actually want? Someone using money as a scoreboard asks, does this purchase make me look successful to others? Same amount of money. Two completely different trajectories, because the psychological function of the money was different from the start. This is, ultimately, the thread connecting every silent sign we've covered. Calm over urgency, quiet over performance, compounding over comfort, identity over income, awareness over inherited scripts, confidence over justification, and finally, tool over scoreboard. So go back to where we started. The man in the suit, the woman in jeans. The signs of real wealth were never meant to be seen. That's the point. Wealth that whispers is usually real. Wealth that shouts is usually financed. If there's one thing to remember from everything you just watched, it's this. If this shifted how you see money, even slightly, subscribe to You Are Decoded. We're building a place for people who want the truth about wealth, not the performance of it.